There is some evidence of how the Portuguese arrived in Japan, one of which is the Namban screen. Namban screen are works of painting by Kano school. Kano artists have served the rulers since the time of Oda Nobunaga to Tokugawa. The Portuguese are known as Nambanjin, which mean the barbarians from the south, so the paintings are also called Namban screen. Immediately after the first contact in 1543, Portuguese ships began arriving in Japan. At the time, there was already a trade exchange between Portugal and Goa starting around 1515, consisting of 3 to 4 carracks ships leaving Lisbon laden with silver to buy cotton and spice in India. Of this, only one carrack went on to China to buy silk, which was also exchanged for Portuguese silver. Thus, the cargo of the first Portuguese ships, usually about 4 smaller ships each year, arriving in Japan consists almost entirely of goods, Chinese goods, silk, and porcelain. The Japanese had high hopes for these items, but had been forbidden to make contact with China by the Chinese emperor as punishment for the Waco pirate attack. Therefore, the Portuguese then found an opportunity to act as intermediaries in trade in Asia. The Japanese were initially a little disdained for the behavior of the newly arrived foreigners, namely since the first Portuguese arrival in 1543 on the island of Tanegashima. A contemporary Japanese account relates, "They eat with their fingers, not with chopsticks like we use. They show their feelings without self-control. They can understand the meaning of written characters." However, the Japanese then quite quickly adopted some of the technology and cultural practice of the newcomers, both in the military arquebus, European-style armor, European ships, religion, Christianity, and food. The Portuguese introduced tempura, and well as various delicacies such as castella. Japan is considered to be very rich in precious metals, mainly because of Marco Polo's account of gilded temples and palaces, but also because of the abundance of metal ores on the underground, as found in volcanic countries. During the period, large-scale mining such as during the industrialization period was not possible, but Japan was then a major exporter of copper and silver. Tokitaka Tanegashima was the vassal of the Shimazu clan and the feudal lord of Tanegashima Island. He was the child of Masatoki Tanegashima. His wife was the younger sister of Takahisa Shimazu. The Tanegashima clan belongs to the Shimazu clan since the period of the northern and southern courts Japan, and Tokitaka was the 14th feudal lord of the Tanegashima clan, the lord of the island. In 1543, Chinese ships with Portuguese merchants on board drift down to Tanegashima Island. On this occasion, curious Tokitaka saw the power of firearms and immediately paid good money of 2,000 ryo for 2 firearms. Then he ordered Kiyosada Yaita, a smith, to disassemble the firearm, to investigate and succeed to manufacture the firearm. The smith, Yaita, did not have much of a problem with most of the gun, but drilling the barrel helically so that the screw bison bolt could be tightly inserted, was a major problem as this technique did not apparently exist in Japan until this time. The Portuguese fixed their ship and left the island, and only in the next year, when a Portuguese blacksmith was brought back to Japan, was the problem solved. Within the years of its introduction, over 300,000 Tanegashima firearms were reported to have been manufactured. Based on that, firearms were called Tanegashima-ju, firearms of Tanegashima, and had major impact on the Sengoku period of warring state. Such of Japan was involved with internecine wars during the Sengoku period, as feudal lords vied for supremacy. Matchlock guns were introduced midway through the period and saw extensive use in the later years of the conflict, playing a decisive role on the battlefield. In 1549, Oda Nobunaga ordered 500 guns to be produced for his armies at a time when the benefits on the firearm over traditional weapons were still relatively questionable to other daimyos. However, the new firearms had adopted advantages in range in comparison with traditional bows. In addition, bullets could penetrate almost any armor and shield. Portuguese arrival seems to have a great impact in Japanese history because of this. We know that Oda Nobunaga is the great daimyo in the Sengoku period. Only after the arrival of the Jesuits, especially the charismatic missionaries of San Francisco of Xavier, a new convert to Christianity made real progress. In Malacca, in December 1547, Francis Xavier met Yajiro, a Japanese samurai who fled because he was accused of murder. On June 1549, Francis Xavier wrote a letter to King John III, which said, "Find the will of God the merciful in my soul. This is my work, that I should go to Japan. Finally I left India to take his mission that was shown for me to serve him in Japan. From your useless servant, Francisco." Then Francis Xavier with Yajiro arrived in Kagoshima, Japan, August 1549. Saint Xavier succeeded in the mass baptism of poor low caste fishing communities in southern India, and his success in Japan was equally spectacular. By the early 17th century, so many influential Japanese daimyo had converted to Christianity that the imperial court and shogunate were very concerned about their loyalty to the government. The first stipulation of Sakoku, which refers to foreigners, is clarified in the second stipulation, namely Catholicism and Christian teachings, and reaffirmed specifically in the third stipulation, namely Portuguese. This is understandable because the mission that was brought by Franciscus Xavier to Japan on April 1549 was not appropriate, and even damaged the fabric of Japanese society that was being built. Because the European region has the same ideology and teachings, the fear of foreign cultural influences, which was originally only at the Portuguese, eventually reversed to all European countries.